Coming to you live from the Motor City of Detroit. This is Get Off My Lawn Live with your host, Eric Buckner. Brought to you by the Nighthawk Network. Nighthawk Network. Our voices for our people. Hey everybody, how's it going? It's your boy Eric Buckner, EB. Buck is in the building, and this is Get Off My Lawn Live. Happy Tuesday evening, everybody. Hopefully you're having a good week so far. I am myself for the most part. As you see, this week I'm not only doing a show, but I also have a special guest. She is, among other things, a top-notch medical professional, as well as an author, a mom, a nana, and just a talented person in general. So I give to you, my friends, today's special guest, Miss Amy Camille Muhammad. Hey, Amy.
Hey, what up, Doe?
How's it going? Thank you so much for joining the show today. I appreciate it. Amy is a good person to talk to about today's show because, one, of course, she will be very key in some of the trending topics I talk about today. But as well, today's major topic is being a product of a broken home. I feel she can speak on that because, one, when we talk about her book, you'll completely understand that. But also, she, much like myself and several of you out there, are products of a broken home. And allow me to explain that to you guys when we get to that part, because it's more than what you might actually think. There's a definite definition of broken that you need to understand in that discussion. But nonetheless, here we are. It is Tuesday. And as always, I encourage you guys to make your comments and we will read them, the ones that we can see. Because as you know, at this time, I usually set my devices so I know who all's talking because, of course, the show is streaming right now on Facebook Live as well as YouTube Live. And so in order for me to know exactly who's making comments, I need to set all my proper pages so I know who's doing what there. So while I do that, I will allow Amy to give you a synopsis of her background so that you understand when I say she is a medical professional, you know exactly what I mean. So please give them your resume right quick if you would, Ms. Muhammad.
I go by the name Camille. I am a native of Pontiac, Michigan. I am a mother of two, a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for 20 plus years. I also hold an MBA, and I am a certified nurse case manager.
So as you see, she is quite talented in the medical profession, and she's also worked in several spots all across the nation, some of them being Tucson, Arizona. You work, I believe, in Carolinas. You've worked there.
Yes,
of course,
sir.
you work here in Michigan. Tell them where you are right now.
I'm in Washington, D.C.
That's right. She's in the nation's capital, and she's also worked in a little place we call Hawaii. Definitely want to talk about that. I've always wanted to go to Hawaii, but my thing is that if I go, I'm probably not coming back. And your description of it in the book, that definitely don't help that. But meanwhile, we got some people in the room. Let me acknowledge them right quick. We like to acknowledge our people as they come on in. What's up, H2? H2 is in the building. Host of Hey Bitches, as you know, part of the Nighthawk Network. So shout out to you. I see Princess Leia's in the house. What's up, Leia? How's it going? So yeah, we got Miss Camille Muhammad here because she prefers Camille. Talks about that in the book as well. Like I said, she is here and we're going to talk about her book and our topic tonight. But first, we're going to get some of these trending topics right quick, get them out the way, because she also, being a medical professional, could discuss some things that I often discuss on the show. But now you get somebody who's actually trained and knows about these things. So, you know, I'm just not spitballing about a lot of that. Or in some cases, if I'm saying the wrong stuff, she's here to correct me and let me know what's really good. So let's deal with it that way. Okay, so that being said, we're going to the usual numbers. Right now, worldwide, we got over 85 million cases of COVID, as in positive cases since the pandemic began about a year ago. We got 21 million plus people who have tested positive. Keep in mind, these are tested numbers. So just because the numbers say 21 million don't mean that we're exactly there. It definitely don't mean that it's lower than that. more than likely, there's more cases than that. These people just have not been properly documented. Would you agree with that, Camille?
I would agree with that.
There you go. Another thing we're looking at here in Michigan, we got over 540,000 positive cases, and over 13,000 people have died. Nationwide, we have over 355,000 people who have died in little less than a year from COVID-19. So that being said, let us not ever trivialize these numbers. These represents people who have died, people who have families, people who have loved ones that miss them, that have died as a result of this virus. And we should never get to a point to where these are just numbers that I'm spewing off or putting on my page and not understand that. So that being said, of course, everybody's waiting for the big cure, the good old vaccine to come along and get put out into the population, get the herd immunity going on so that we can get back to a normal life. And, listening to the leader, as I call him, you think that, yeah, that's what's going to happen real soon. They're going to have the 20 million people vaccinated by January 1st, and it'll go on from there. And then by March or April, we'll be able to get the vaccine, out here to the general public. And by June, we should be back out and about doing what we do. Miss Muhammad, do you see it going that way?
Well, I could say this. I was very hopeful when we were on lockdown initially that the numbers would go down and people would be adhering to the social distancing and wearing the mask and doing the hand washing and all of that. And then, of course, I did suspect that there was going to be a second wave that was going to come through around November and December, and that's exactly what happened. I'm still hopeful that things will get turned around and that people would start to trend, the numbers will start to trend down again and we can get on top of this.
Absolutely. But unfortunately, at this point, we're not quite where we should be with it.
Not at all.
Yeah,
Not at all.
and sadly, like I said, now keep in mind, there's people out here, and I really hope the one person who I had a discussion with yesterday is tuning in right now, so you can hear from someone who actually works in the medical field on a regular basis what's going on when they have these numbers about over 120,000 hospitalizations and people basically going on a shift every day and seeing multiple people die and things of that nature. These things are actually going on. This is real talk. Miss Muhammad, from your own words.
Well, actually, as a nurse case manager, I actually work in the emergency department. So I'm able to see the charts and view the patients as they come through the door. I'm what they call the gatekeeper. Mm-hmm. So I am able to see what the diagnoses are and the presenting symptoms. And I do have to say that there are still quite a few COVID cases that are coming through the door. The numbers did trend down where we were getting very, optimistic about, the numbers going down and people doing better. But I have seen a trend where now we're getting more admissions and people are still, unfortunately, becoming sick with COVID and also passing away.
Yep. So there it is from somebody that's actually in the field seeing it firsthand. Please know that we still in the midst of the pandemic, folks, and this ain't going away immediately. It's going to take some time, and we got to do our part to make things happen in terms of our social distancing, our sanitation of ourselves, our wearing of the mask, because that is the true key to it. The vaccine is nice and all, and keep in mind, the vaccine is a vaccine, not a cure, folks, not a cure. But keep in mind, there's an interesting thing going on now in terms of the vaccine, because like we know, they are not administering it at the rate that it was initially proposed to us. And in order to kind of increase the chance that we can get back to a quote unquote normal life sooner, some of the professionals are throwing around the idea that they actually talking about implementing in the UK, where they're going to give people just the first dose of the Pfizer or the Moderna vaccine and then wait beyond the recommended time to give them the second dose. So that way the assumption is that they'll have some protection as opposed to none at all. I mean, I'm not sure how familiar you are with vaccines per se and whatnot. Do you think that's a good idea?
I do. I do. I have to put this disclaimer out here. I I don't have an issue with vaccinations, but I'm not necessarily an advocate for it. I do believe in choice, and if that's something that people want to do, then by all means, if they feel the vaccination is for them, that is fine. So I just want to put that out there. A lot of people think just because I'm a medical professional that I'm like, rah, 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 get the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I do believe in personal choice. And I also think that people should be informed before they consent to such a thing. So I just want to put that out there.
And so, of course, with you putting that out there, I would not be a good journalist or interviewer if I did not ask the next responding question that everybody will want to ask after that. Have you yourself been asked to take the vaccine, and will you be doing so if you have not?
I have been offered the vaccination and I declined.
Okay, so of course, my next question would be why personally, if you don't mind us asking, have you personally declined to take it?
Personally, because under normal circumstances, vaccinations take somewhere between 2 to 5 years.
And I say you watch my show, so you know I'm very well aware of that.
So usually it goes through a long-term type of study, and the subjects are tested for side effects, short-term and long-term adverse reactions and things of that nature. We want to know whether or not it's going to alter a person's ability to reproduce, check to see whether or not there's any long-standing effects, different things like that. And because that hasn't been done, and there really hasn't been a lot of time where it's been out there, I just personally choose to just sit back and watch and see what happens.
And at this point, like I said, if I was basically up to bat as far as the vaccine, that would be my opinion also. That being said, as I've discussed with you previous to the show, there are members of my family who have taken the vaccine. Thank God nothing in terms of adverse side effects have occurred at this point.
Yeah.
I actually have a family member that's set up to take their second dose of the Pfizer vaccine this week. So definitely going to be monitoring that to see how that's affected. Keep in mind, everybody's biochemical things are different in terms of what may affect them and not. But in the same token, if you have a family member that has some of your DNA, you kind of can get a feel, I would think, in terms of how it might or might not affect you in terms of that. But that being said, vaccines usually take between 5 to 10 years to be properly tested. This vaccine, remember, is for emergency use at this point. It is not a fully approved vaccine. These are all things that I keep in mind in terms of that. The views and opinions are those of here, Get Off My Lawn Live, and our guests and myself, and not those of anybody in the Nighthawk Network or any other shows of affiliates. Keep that in mind. But that being said, I would like for you to continue, guys, to do your research, as I often promote you to do, and make the best decision for you, yourself, and your family in regards to these vaccines. We will leave it at that. Okay, let's address some of the comments here. You know, I got to talk to the people because they talking to us. I'm here and I'm still keeping an eagle eye out for crazy Trumpites. Keep in mind, my friend Princess Leia, she is in the DC area as well, working very close to the Capitol, where they got things kind of shut off right now and need of what may happen tomorrow, which we'll get into in a second. Miss Hologram, love you back. Georgia just confirmed on election day, the Department of Health announced that 18 male tested positive for the B117 variant first found in the UK. And then there's that. Those new variants of the virus that's supposed to be 70% more contagious than the ones that we know at the moment. It doesn't seem to be affecting people in terms of how many more people die. And they're saying that most of these vaccines will help in regards to these new variants. Do you have any information in regards to that?
No, I haven't been given any information regarding that.
Gotcha. Seeing there's still like maybe less than 10 or 15 cases of the new variant here in the United States, that makes sense. But something to keep in mind, like I said, we are already dealing with it pretty bad now. So if there's a more contagious version out here, even more reason for you guys to be safe. Okay, I have to get a vaccination for me and my daughter. And like I said, everybody will make their own choices based on what they're comfortable with, and I completely understand that. In the end, I pray for all those who have chosen to do so or have done so already, and hope that everything works out for the best. That's all I can do at this point. Okay, we got other people in the house. Faith's in the house. Hey, Faith, how's it going? Let's see who else we got going on. Joe, what's going on, Joe? I see you in the comments. Good to hear from you guys. Okay, we're talking trending topics right now with our special guest. That's Miss Camille Muhammad, medical professional and talented person extraordinary. You will know that for certain when we get to talking about her book shortly. But let's get through these trending topics and we can get to it. Another thing we're going to talk about today in Georgia. Georgia's the big day, y'all. Did you get out and vote? The polls are closed, but keep in mind, if you're still in line at the moment, y'all ride it out till they let you in. If you was in line at 7 o'clock, you are eligible to vote. Please know that. And of course, I would not expect us to know a winner this evening because, as you know, more than 3 million people voted early. So they cannot count those votes until the end of voting, which is now. And it's going to take a little bit to do that. We know that from the election, how that works. So it may be a day or even two before we know if the Democrats both won or one won or none of them won. And thus that determines who controls the Senate, which basically determines who controls Congress. So there's that. Hopefully it all works out for the best. But keep in mind, it's not the end of the world if Joe Biden can do what he says he would do and bring some Republicans to the table and find a way to work with them and get common ground so he can still get things done. So hopefully, as a former member of Congress, he got some old boy connections in the Senate and they can work some stuff out if we don't get the result that we need to get here. Okay, couple more comments. Absolutely, yep. If you're in line, please stay in line, Georgia. Absolutely, H2.
Yes.
Agreed. Okay, so then there's that. Anyway, we're going to move on from that now. And I said, usually I get into more, but no, we want to get into the meat of this conversation. We got a good guest, and we definitely want to utilize her time the best way we can. So we're going to hit us a nice commercial break, and then we're going to talk about Miss Muhammad's book. Her book, by the way, guys, is entitled How I Came About, Evolution of Self-Love and Growth Out of Pain and Glory. Very good book. We're going to talk about it when we get back, y'all. So that is me. That is Miss Muhammad. And this, my friends, is Get Off My Lawn Live. This is the Nighthawk Network. Our voices for our people. Nighthawk Network.
We're not asking for your permission. We're not seeking your approval. We're claiming what's ours in the name of our ancestors. We are their answered prayers. This is more than a movement. This is a revolution. Black innocence. What are yours today?
What's up, y'all? We are back. Get Off My Lawn Live. I am your boy E Beezy, and this, my friends, is Camille Muhammad. She, among other things, is an author, and she is an author of a book that we know as How I Came About, an evolution of self-love grown out of pain and glory. So, yes, we were going to talk about her book. It is an excellent book. I finished it, and I put a nice review on there. And I'm glad that you liked it. You apparently did because you actually posted that review on your page. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
There was a lot of feedback. I didn't hear anything you just said.
Uh-oh, that's not good. Having some technical difficulties. We're gonna work through them, y'all. Fear not, folks. But no, basically I'm saying that I put a review out for your book, you reposted it, and I liked it. Nope, not good. Okay, guys. So while we try to work through those issues, we're gonna take another commercial break and we will come back and hopefully talk to Miss Muhammad about her book. Okay? Hang in there, y'all. Hi, this is your boy Eric Buckner, and right now you're looking at my show, Get Off My Lawn Live, here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Tune in each Tuesday as we talk trending topics, what's going on in my world, and the things that I feel we all need to talk about and have discussions about as people. So again, thanks for checking out the show and tune in each week for Get Off My Lawn Live with me, your host.
Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Nikki.
All right, guys, we are back. This is Get Off My Lawn Live. Hopefully we have worked out our technical difficulties. Can you hear me? Camille, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yep, can you hear me?
There's a lot of feedback.
Okay, we're getting a lot of feedback on that end. Now I understand. Okay.
Can your guest hear you okay?
Let's find out. Guys, are you hearing everything okay? Let us know in the comments, please. Okay, let's see. We'll go through the comments while we figure that out. Yep, we've already been there. Absolutely, says Miss Pat. If you're in line, please stay. Yep. JoJo, what's going on? Hey, JoJo. Hey, everybody. Yep, if you guys hear us okay, please let us know. Okay, Leah says she can hear us both. Good, good. Thanks for joining, JoJo. Okay, anybody else have any hearing issues? You hearing any feedback? Yep. Miss Pat says she can hear. Okay. You're still getting feedback on it. Like I said, I'm good here. I'm not getting any feedback.
Okay, you're good now. You're good now.
Okay, now we're good. All right, good. Okay, so yeah, let's go on with the interview, folks. We're talking to Miss Camille Muhammad. We are talking about her book, How It Came About. She is an author, and this book is, of course, an autographical book about her life and some of her experiences along the way. What it really boils down to, folks, is we all go through our trials and tribulations in life. Some people feel like they are noteworthy. Me, myself, I feel like my story, not so much, but yours definitely was. You definitely went through some things, Ms. Muhammad. Yes. Absolutely. As I told you when I was reading your book, there were times where I would have to put it down because it was just too much to deal with. It was a lot. Wow. So I can only imagine how it felt living that life.
Well, it's a lot of the trouble started when I was so young. So I didn't even realize, like, as I was growing up and coming into my adulthood, that I knew that there was some dysfunction, but I didn't know it was like that dysfunctional to that degree, because it was normal for me.
Right.
But as I was writing the book, I knew that I had a lot to pour into it. And that's when I was like able to kind of relive and recapture a lot of things that I had experienced. So
Mhm.
yeah.
And see, and that's the thing, you know, because I myself like to read autobiographical books because it gives you a glimpse into how that person not only lived, but how they really felt about what was going on in their life as they were going through it. And
Hmm.
you have a very good way of explaining and having people feel how you felt at that moment. And
Hmm.
everybody, they're not always good at expressing that when they do their writing, you know. So I like the book for that reason.
Thank you.
Also, I like the fact that you are very honest and candid about some of the things you went through. I
Hmm.
mean, there are, like I said, I definitely want people to read this book. So I don't want to go too in depth into it to where they're not going to read the book, but we do want to give them some little tasty morsels to work
Sure,
with.
sure. Yeah.
So, of course, there was that incident in your young childhood where, unfortunately, you were put in a position where people were trying to take advantage of your body physically, and that
Hmm.
was not a good thing. I know a lot of people, if that went through that, to this day, they will probably try to suppress that or not even talk about it. You chose to do so, and I felt like it's good because there's a lot of people who have had situations similar to that as a child. Is that part of what your thinking was when you revealed that in the book?
Oh, absolutely. When I wrote it, I wanted to look into it from different aspects, from the perpetrators aspect because they were children as well.
Mhm.
From my point of view, I wanted people to actually look into uh, how me and my mother were able to relate to each other during that time. So when I was writing the book, I didn't necessarily want to play the victim, didn't want to do that. And I also didn't want to just beat anybody up about it. So it was important to me to kind of give great detail during that because there were a lot of different players in it. How the police handled it,
Which
how
I
my
found quite interesting.
yeah, how my mother was able, handled it, how she handled it, how I looked at my mother because of the way she handled it. So when I was writing and I realized that my situation, unfortunately, wasn't extraordinary. When it happened, I knew almost immediately that that had happened to other girls because the boys were so young and they were almost like experts at it to me.
Mhm.
Um, like they knew what they were doing. It didn't seem all that random to me. And
Mhm.
so I just wanted to kind of put it out there. Number one, so if there are other preteens or children that are going through something like that or have gone through something like that, number one, they don't blame themselves. And just kind of look at my life in a nutshell and say, well, if she went through all of this and she came out of it, victorious, then maybe I can do that as well. So that was kind of what I wanted to have happen when I was writing different stories in the book.
Mhm. Now, one of the things I definitely wanted to point out to you is that, as you wrote the book, I'm sure that basic male person A would get the reading part of it and be like, this don't necessarily relate to me. But I encourage you to read the entire book because as I read more into the book, particularly when you get to the parts where you discuss the relationships you've had over the years, I can
Mhm.
relate very well to a lot of what you went through.
Yes.
You'd be surprised, quite actually. I mean, there are certain players in your life story that are very similar to some of the people that I encountered in my life story in
Oh,
terms of how they dealt
absolutely.
with certain aspects of relationships in general. I mean, for
Absolutely.
example, let's talk about the man we know as Jadon.
Okay.
Now, that point in your life, basically, you went through a lot of emotions and feelings in regards to somebody that you truly loved and cared about, perhaps
Hmm.
still to this day.
Hmm.
But in the same token, they did not contend with you the way they initially portrayed themselves when you guys first became, involved.
Right.
And I myself have had a couple people in my life that was that very way in
Mm-hmm.
terms of how they presented themselves on the one hand, and because they came from the environment or the type of people that
Absolutely.
they
Right.
came from, I'll get into that a little bit in a second. You know where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
That you figured they would deal with things a certain way, but as you got to truly know them, it was an entirely different story, one that would just perplex and surprise you as you get to know it more and more. So that there was that point in your life when you saw Jadon and you saw some of the other people that he encountered and how he dealt with them. And at that point, clearly it was like, I don't even really know this person that I thought I knew better than anybody on earth.
Right.
That's
Right.
something that a lot of people who have been in relationships can definitely relate to.
Right. And writing about Jadon, I had, by the time I had wrote the book, I had already came to terms with everything, and I had enough time to kind of look at each character to see what it was about them and why they were the way that they were. I had to.
Uh-oh. Oh, something went wrong there, folks. Okay, while we figure that out, let me address some of the
Yeah,
comments.
I had to really look into their backgrounds and figure out what it was that made them the way that they were. So with that being said, it allowed me to forgive a lot during and after the relationships. But when it came to Jadon, it was just kind of like I wanted to see him when I ended the relationship, like, oh, he's just a player. I just got played. But there were just so many different layers to him that it kind of explained why he really didn't see any wrong in what he was doing when he was dealing with me. And that happens with a lot of relationships.
Yes, and like I said, that's on both ends, both male and female. Like I said, it's probably one person watching right now. I'm talking about you. You know who I'm talking about. And okay, a lot of comments. Let's see what we got here. Okay, we heard you. Glad. Anytime, thanks. You too. All right, no feedback. All right, good. Glad it's all coming through clear. This is such a good podcast and so educated. Thank you so much, Miss Pat. I appreciate that. Okay, everybody saying hi to everybody else as well. Love that. Sending out the night hall signal. Yeah, let everybody know we on the air. I appreciate you. Where can we get the book at? We definitely gonna get into that. I am so proud of you, Camille.
Thank you.
She says, thank you, Miss Pat. Very deep. Great job, Camille, for speaking your truth. Absolutely. JoJo, since I know you will definitely like her book. Absolutely. If God will bring you to it, God will bring you out of it. Amen. Absolutely, JoJo. Pat, yes, it does. Now, she mentions God here, but keep in mind, one thing you definitely learn about Miss Muhammad as you read the book, not only does she go through a journey in her life with relationships, she also goes through a journey in life in terms of her religion, because you learn as you go through the course of the book that you eventually came to a point in your life where you embraced the Nation of Islam. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Well, I actually embraced Islam initially.
Yeah, there is a difference. You do learn that in the book.
Yeah.
Let me point that out.
Yes, sir. I embraced Islam after going through many different journeys. Christianity, I studied with Jehovah's Witnesses. So I just came to a point where in my late 20s, I felt like Islam was the closest thing to my nature. So in reading the Holy Quran, in the Bible, I really got to a point where I didn't see much difference in Islam and Christianity other than the way you pray. So it was just a smooth transition to me to just go into Islam. So that's where I'm at.
Understood. And keep in mind, like I said, after reading the book, I kind of, because I had a very basic understanding of Islam. So, especially when you get to breaking down the Islamic faith as opposed to the Nation of Islam, two different things, very much so. That, I kind of wanted to gain an understanding. The thing was, as I finished your book that night, there was a movie that came on. That movie is Malcolm X. So that made me even more curious as to, okay, you don't know Islam like you think you do. Look into it a little bit. Yeah. So as I did that, there are as I recall, there's 5 basic. I'm not sure I'm
Pillars.
Yeah,
hmm
yeah. Touch on that briefly if you would.
So in Islam, there's 5 pillars of faith, and it's basically your prayer, your charity. Um, if you are able to, you should visit Mecca. Um, so it's just based with it. It's kind of like there's obligations with the religion, right? That we are to adhere to, fasting and different things of that nature. So, I mean, for me, that was just kind of simple. Uh, I mean, to me, when I think the thing with Islam is people make it confusing, but it's really not all that confusing.
It's really not.
It really isn't. And I also learned that because I had studied Christianity, Jehovah Witness, Judaism, and all these different religions, I learned that they're not very different from each other. You know, we all pray to one God. We all believe in salvation, redemption, prayer, different things like that. Different religions, you know, we fast.
Mhm.
So I've kind of found comfort in just knowing that when I did embrace Islam, you know, I just said that God knows my heart, right? And because I really wasn't raised in religion, so to speak, I would just say, well, you know, this is all I know. This is the best that I can do, and may God be pleased with my decision to go into Islam. So, and I think that's with everybody. Like when we pray, we hope that God hears our prayers, and that when we're living our daily lives, we're doing the right thing, and that we're pleasing to Him. So that's just the way I strive throughout my daily life. And I don't think that's any different from anybody else who practices any other religion.
I would agree. I definitely agree. Okay,
Mhm.
let's see what we got in the comments here. Uh, yes, it does. She's welcome. Absolutely, exactly. Everybody's definitely in agreement with you on that. I am as well. And keep in mind, as you read the book, you learn that your faith is a great part of what helped you get through some of these troubled times in your life and in these relationships. But we
Mhm.
also learn about your profession, particularly the part where you were a travel nurse. I found that to be very intriguing because I really didn't have an understanding of that at all until you started breaking it down in the book. Now, for
Mhm.
those of you who are interested in having a life experience, doing some work with people, things of that nature, I will have Miss Muhammad now explain to you what being a travel nurse involves.
Well, I'm actually still a travel nurse. That's what brought me to DC.
Okay.
I've been a travel nurse for over 10 years now. Being born and raised in Pontiac, I raised my children, as everybody know who read the book, and I was ready to get the hell out of there.
Understood.
You
Understood.
know,
Shout out
I
to
got
Pontiac. Anybody listening out there?
yes, Town. I pretty much just went to college, got married, raised my children, and once my children went away to college, I was ready to go. I was tired of the weather. I was tired of the blight. And I had never really had an opportunity to travel other than, you know, family vacations and different things like that. By the time my children were adults, I had went through my divorce. So I was kind of on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And that allowed me the opportunity to look into doing something different. That's the beautiful thing about nursing. There's so many different specialties that because I was a nurse, I was able to just kind of pick up and take off. So I reached out to a recruiter. I said, I want to go somewhere warm. And literally within a couple of weeks, she was like, we have your resume, we have your credentials, we have your flight.
Mm-hmm. Now, see,
I
let me explain to y'all before she really get into it. This is why you might want to be a travel nurse as opposed to basic nurse A or CNN or whatnot. Tell them how they set you up when you get to where you're going.
So when I arrived, of course they're paying for your travel, reimbursing you for gas, mileage, flights, or sometimes they'll just pay for those things up front. So my first assignment was basically in Tucson, Arizona. They put me into like corporate housing, right? And I landed and I just showed up to work. I was staying in kind of like a condo type of place. They provide transportation. And it's when you're at work, it's like you're working locally. You're just there for a period of, usually 3 months.
Okay. Now the condo, did you have to
Mhm.
pay for that?
No, it's they pay for it. So
Mhm.
either they pay for it or they give you a stipend
Okay.
to
So
pay
you
for
mean
your
to tell me
housing.
you got a job where they fly you out there on their dime to
Mhm.
where you need to be? They're paying your rent. They're paying for your transportation. They're paying for the gas money for
They
your
pay
transportation.
for all things
And they
travel.
paying you on top of all of that.
They pay me on top of that, and they pay me for incidentals. So my
And
bid
with all that being said, what's the pay like there?
good, which is why I've been doing it for 10 plus years.
And when
Yeah.
she says good, without going into deeply her pockets, I ain't
Mhm.
talking about we can go and go to McDonald's and get cheese on the burger good. We talking about we can go to Red Lobster and treat ourselves and have full dessert good.
Not Red Lobster. I think we could do a little better than that.
See what I'm saying? That's my
Yeah.
point, y'all.
Yeah.
Good profession to look into if you
But
into
you know
nursing.
what? Travel nursing isn't for everybody, and I'll kind of touch on that and include the book in that. It's
Mhm.
really not for everybody because, say, right now, for instance, I'm here by myself. And right now, with COVID-19, I'm pretty much in quarantine unless I'm at work. And things are shut down. My family is in Michigan. Now, granted, I meet people all over the US and I'm able to go out and find new friends and all that type of stuff. But it can tend to get lonely at times, especially for women. And the majority of nurses are women.
Yes.
So it can affect relationships and marriages. We're usually forced into long distance relationships. Some nurses travel with their significant other or spouses, but with that, it's like either your spouse is retired, unemployed, working remotely,
Mhm.
or
Or one of those
they're
situations like you find in the book. So
or
yeah,
one of those
I got you.
situations where you find in the book where you're trusting your mate to be loyal and faithful while you go out and make this money.
Mhm.
And you have to be strong-willed and really faithful in these type of relationships because and we can go into the book, like when I'm traveling, I'm out here on a mission, and that is to make good money to where my family can benefit from it. And so being in relationships, if that person isn't truly down for you, down with you, it can lead to a lot of problems, a lot of problems. And I do find that a lot of travel nurses, they're single and they just kind of, they're serial daters, but that can be unsafe, because a lot of times people don't know where I'm at.
Uh,
And I do that for a reason because I can go out here and meet somebody and nobody knows who he is, where he's from. And because I'm going back and forth to work and different things like that, I can go out on a date and not come back. And
mm,
nobody even knows that I'm missing.
yeah.
So it's kind of like a double-edged sword where I don't want a lot of people to know where I'm at and how I move because I am a single woman. But then
Mhm.
I have to let people know that I'm safe and that I'm not in harm's way or I'm not dating some type of like serial killer and turn up missing. So it gets tough.
Gotcha. And
Mhm.
seeing, like I said, keep in mind, not to reveal your age, but we all are a particular age. You're not that
Mhm.
far from me. But
Mhm.
that being said, because you done went through the relationships that you have and they turned out the way they have, part of me is looking at you like, why on earth would you want to be with anybody else after all that?
Why say that part again?
I said, part of me looks at it like, why on earth would you want to be with anybody else after you going through all that with all them folks?
I mean, I'm a woman. It's my nature to want to be, in a relationship. I don't I don't fault anybody else for what happened in those relationships. And truly, to be honest, those 4 relationships that I talked about were my only relationships.
Wow.
So I can kind of consider myself fortunate because I haven't been with a lot of men. I've had marriages that, I mean, my shortest relationship featured in the book was like 6, 7 years. So I'm not really complaining about the relationships that I've been in. I was with my children's father for 12 years. We were married, high school sweethearts. I talked about the African guy that I met. That was an
Mm-hmm.
interesting relationship. I was with him
Right.
for 3 years and we're still friends today.
Okay. Now,
Sometimes relationships just don't work out.
okay. Now the African guy, that was the one you met in the Jamaican club.
Yep. I
That's
met him
Solo, right?
down in Detroit. Yep. That was the Muslim African guy from Senegal.
Yep.
Yeah. But I
And
had fun with him. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I learned the
you said
culture.
that much.
I learned the culture. I learned the foods. He introduced me to Islam, and like I said, we're still friends today. He's actually in Maryland, so he's about 20 minutes away from me, and
Okay.
we're still in contact. So even though these relationships don't work out and they can become problematic, I mean, such is life. We love and we learn and we lose, but we move on. So it is what it is. I don't look at my relationships like, oh my God, woe is me. This guy cheated or whatever. It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, so definitely you are not a product of what you've been through. I'm very happy to hear that.
Yes,
Me
sir.
myself, I admit I'm a little bitter about some of this stuff, but
I mean, we get over it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, my aunt asked me today, are you upset that you never had any kids and you're there in this pandemic and you're single and all that? And I told her, no, right now I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Am I living my very best life? No, but am I content and pleased with how things is moving? Going through my podcast journey and all that? Yeah, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got some people in the house you may know. What's up, Big Easy? That would be Coach V. What's going on, Coach V?
Hey.
Right, I'd be on that head. That would be Mr. Will Muhammad. I know you know that guy as well. The
Yes.
host of Pure and Uncut, these guys. Hello, says V. Very says Will. I'm sure that's in regards to one of the comments we made.
Mm-hmm.
Nonetheless, folks, it is a very good read. I feel like you will definitely gain some things from it. We're going to get into it a little bit more, but it also ties into our topic tonight. And our topic for this evening will be being a product of a broken home. Because Miss Muhammad, as you learn in the book, she lived in a home environment that's different than basic environment A. And, before I really get into it and explain to you what I mean exactly by being a product of a broken home, we will go to these commercials so you guys have time to go grab some water or, adjust your chair or whatnot, invite a couple more people to the show. By the way, you guys can go and check out either my show or anybody else's show on the Nighthawk Network on YouTube. You go to Big Meech, or you go to Helena Hologram, or you go to Eric Buckner Nighthawk Network Detroit on YouTube and check it out. Check out past episodes. Please like and subscribe. We need them subscribers. We're trying to do some things, folks. So please look out for us. But in the meanwhile, we will get into it. But first, I will give you my next new bootleg commercial, because I always call my commercials bootleg because I'm the one who made them. And I'm still working it out, but I'm getting better, y'all. And we also going to tell you about a special event going on tomorrow with Big Meat. So we're going to show those two commercials, and we'll be right back with more Get Off My Lawn Live. What's up, everybody? Eric Buckner here. You know Miss EB, Young Easy, Eric Buck, all that good stuff. Anyway, I'm here to kick it with y'all about this little podcast I've been doing. I talk trending topics. I talk about the stuff we as people need to talk about. I talk about some things actually that people kind of want to shy away from, because we got to have these discussions, folks. That's how we get better. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, hold on. Yeah, so anyway, I do it Tuesdays, 8:30 p.m. You can check it out on Facebook, on YouTube. It's a good show. I say get into it. Yeah, you want to know the name of the show you said? Hold on. Hey, you! Get off my lawn! Yeah, anyway, that's the name of the show, by the way. Get Off My Lawn. Check it out, Tuesdays, 8:30 p.m. Let me go handle this. I'll be out. Hey, what's going on, y'all? We are back. It's your boy E Buck, and y'all know this is my podcast, Get Off My Lawn Live. I'm here this evening with Miss Camille Muhammad, professional care worker, author, mom, nana, and she has other talents that we're going to get into a little bit later in the show. But right now, we are going to talk about tonight's topic of the evening. That topic is this right here, folks. Stand by. Being a product of a broken home. Now, people, here's the thing. There's two definitions to this topic, okay? And I'm learning that as I had a few discussions with people in regards to tonight's discussion. Heather Montgomery is in the building. Hey, Heather, I'm so glad you are here. This is a good topic to have a discussion with. And if you got a couple comments on it, I would definitely like to hear them since you know me personally and you can relate to some of what I'm talking about here. So that being said, being a product of a broken home, basically I see it as being one of two things. One, when people typically look at a home environment in terms of how things supposedly are supposed to go, you look at a person growing up at home with a mom and a dad, and basically there's a time at night where somebody called the house and you could be like, is your mom and dad there? You can be like, yep, they're both in the room back there. Typical family, you know. They talk about, you know, I call it kind of like the Leave It to Beaver style of household. You got mom, dad, you got two kids, white picket fence, that type of thing. Typical American family, right? But then there are those of us who grew up and mom and dad, if you were to make that same call, be like, where's your mom and dad? You'd be like, well, mom, she back there asleep. Where your dad? Well, I ain't seen him since 06 or 04, whatever the case may be, or vice versa, however that go. Broken home. But then there's other ways to have a broken home, where basically, let's just say you do have the people that live with mom and dad, and y'all all together in the house, and people perceive it as being hunky-dory. But when you come home, you get in there, and mom is beating the hell out of dad, or dad beating the hell out of mom, or you walk in the house and mom and dad, they ain't cook no dinner because they too busy in the back getting high off heroin or PCP or something to that effect. So there's broken home in that regard, where you might have the typical setup, but in the same token, there's things going on at home that makes your home life not quite so good. So those are the two definitions I have of broken home. So as you guys hear the discussion and you kind of want to talk about it, relate to it, you go ahead and make your opinions known. But that being said, let's get into this topic. So, Miss Muhammad, you talk about how you grew up in Pontiac, where basically you had your mom there. And of course, at first, when you first were in your early life, you had who eventually we know as your stepdad.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit.
Basically, my mom and dad were high school sweethearts and married young, and we had I guess what you call quote unquote normal family life until some decisions were made that affected, me, my mom, and my brother, and my dad for many years.
Okay. And the thing is, what we learn in the book is that the person that you knew as your dad at that point, he eventually got into a little trouble with the authorities. And as a result, that changed your home dynamic.
Correct.
So it basically got to a point where you were there. It was you, your brother. Your brother is, hold on. Some of these stuff I don't remember off the top of the head. I had to write a Junie.
Yes.
And then, of course, there was your mom who was studying to be a nurse at the time. So sometimes she was home, but sometimes she had you under the care of others. Mm-hmm. So in terms of broken home in that regard, you didn't have the stereotypical home life. But as you see, you came out quite well and well adjusted and all of that. But you also grew up with people who had similar things going on in that. So what makes it different to where you come out and you end up being successful, professional, but then some of the people that you may have grown up with, not so much?
I thought about this. I've been asked this before, and I have to say it's nothing but the grace of God. Me and my brother, we grew up in the same household, and we both took different paths. And it's just crazy to me because I mean, we had our bunk beds together in the same room. We ate the same meals. We played with the same toys. We even sometimes bathed together. I could not understand why things were so different, our lifestyles. But I just think that I was not only was I lucky because I have made some choices that could have gone totally wrong, but I just I looked around my environment and I saw the ills in it, and I didn't want that for myself. So as I'm uh, kind of like telling the story in my mind, like from the book, right, and I'm seeing all of these things go on around me as a little girl, I knew that it wasn't right. I knew that I didn't want to use drugs. I knew that I didn't want to be with a lot of different men. I knew that through watching my mom study to become a nurse, that education was important. So I just kind of made some decisions for myself to better my life and to take a different path.
Understood. Keep in
Mhm.
mind, not only am I reading your book while I'm reading your book, but I was also listening to an audible book by a person that we know as Lonnie Love. And
Mhm.
keep in mind, she grew up in the city of Detroit, as you know, and she has some similar thought processes in terms of why she chose to take a different path in life as
Mhm.
opposed to what was going on around her. So
Mhm.
she definitely can relate to what you're saying. I can as well. I
Mhm.
mean, keep in mind, I consider myself a product of a broken home. My mother and father, they were married, and we were living in one place in Detroit. But then, of course, he had some extramarital affairs, and as a result, they got divorced, and he went his way and she went hers. But that being said, he still was a part of our life in terms of, yeah, you could pick up the phone, and more times than not, you could talk to him directly. And yeah, Dad, I need this. Yeah, Dad, I need that. But in terms of having a relationship with him to where you call him like, well, Dad, my feelings hurt, and this and this and this, and Mom's being a Smurf and all that type of stuff, not so much. He wasn't really as present for things of that nature. So
Mhm.
that was a little different. um I really think part of what makes your situation what it is ultimately is not only what's going on in your household, but the outside influences of your household as well.
Mhm.
So there are people like yourself who you basically were under the same roof as somebody, y'all had the same food and all that, but in the same token, outside in the streets, y'all was two entirely different people than you
Totally
were when
different
you were in the
people.
household. So
Correct. That is
I feel like
correct.
that's part of it. Let's
Yes.
see. Let me check the comments here. Not much going on in the comments. I hope you guys are liking the conversation. Y'all usually a little bit more talkative than this here. Hello, Miss Muhammad. All right. Camille, the Steelers hand. Hold on. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's Coach V talking about Camille. The Steelers' hands are full. Basically talking about the upcoming playoff game with the Browns. I imagine, knowing that you are a Steelers fan, I know that from when you
I
appeared
know
on their
exactly
show.
who that is.
Yeah, so you know who that is talking that junk.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, back to the conversation. Being a product of a broken home, I feel affects you in certain ways, but does not affect you in other ways. You see that in your book, as basically you go on your journey in life. You don't seem to have times where it basically held you down from what you needed to do in order to be successful and make yourself a good person out here in this world. But also, as you look in the book and you see how your children come up, you definitely seem to take a different path in terms of dealing with them than that of the one that you grew up in.
Not always, not always. I made some mistakes. There were relationships with people like Hawk where there was a lot of going around, and I wouldn't say that my children uh, escaped everything that I went through. I was a young adult when I had them, so I had a lot of learning to do. So there definitely was some mistakes made. Um, I'll say that basically, how do I want to word this? I mean, life is just kind of what it is. We get involved with people. I think that because of my upbringing, I had normalized a lot of dysfunction. Things that I witnessed. I mean, there were other children around who witnessed the same thing. I mean, I grew up in the 70s, you know, and we witnessed our parents do a lot of things, from smoking herb and you know, they came out of that hippie stage where, you know, sex and drugs and rock and roll, and our fathers were out of the households and stuff like that. So we witnessed a lot coming up. I can most definitely say, being a young girl, I saw way more than I should have. And I didn't have the supervision that I should have. So, and so when it came to that, like raising my children, I was more cognizant. Like, I knew that it was important for me to get married, to marry a certain kind of guy, to love on them a little bit more. You know, my mother wasn't a which one to say affectionate woman.
Yeah. My dad was that way also.
You
so
know,
yeah, I get that.
so I made it a point to give my daughters positive affirmations. I made it a point to do mother-daughter activities with them. I made it a point to tell them I love them, tell them that they were important, and make sure that they know that they were valued, because that's something that I missed out on growing up. And I don't think it's like really any fault of my mother's. I had to really consider how she was raised and the atmosphere that she grew up in. But I just, like I say, I just made it a point to kind of break the generational curse with myself. So the things that I needed, because my mom was away at work and in school, I made sure that I gave it to my daughters. And things that I witnessed, I tried to protect my daughters from. So I gave them a little bit more supervision and more parenting than I had been provided.
Okay. Now, keep in mind, part of what brought up this subject with me was a conversation that we had on Dish and Tea with Big Meech. Shout out to you, Big Meech. He basically talked about people's parenting styles in today's society. And basically, you know, what did you feel was good in terms of discipline and, you know, your household, my house, my rules, that type of thing. And that led me to think about why we are starting to view some of our young people as entitled. You know, the thing is, we constantly say these things, but what got them to this point? What part did we play in it as people who grew up one way, where basically the village was responsible for how we moved and whatnot? You know, our aunts, like your Uncle Tony, people like that, that would be like, you know, what you doing and who messing with you and that type of stuff. Then these kids growing up basically just under a one parent household, or basically a household where mom and dad's constantly working. So they kind of, to a degree, raising themselves. And to make up for us not being present, we give them presents and things of that nature. So, you know, I'm trying to gain an understanding. Okay, how did we get to this point with these children? So that
something just entered into my head while you were talking. And I remembered sometime in the 80s, it had to have been where 911 had came out, and there was this CPS thing. And if your parent whooped you, you could call 911.
Yeah.
I could distinctively remember threatening to call 911 on my mom. And she said, you take that phone and call 911, they're going to find you with that cord wrapped around your neck. So there was a fear that was instilled in us. And there was also a lot, it became a time where parents were being policed and they weren't allowed to raise their children. And I think that moment was very pivotal in how children were coming up.
And I'm glad you went there, because Meech made that point on his show. He basically said it all really started when the GOV came into your HOME.
Yes.
Where, you can't properly discipline your kids the way you want to, because now what we basically just saw as getting whooped on Tuesday is severe child abuse in today's day and age. Like I said, we talk about some of the stories that okay, this and this happened when I was a kid, and you look at some of these kids now and tell them that, and it's like, she did what? Oh no, I'm telling. No, I called the police on them. They did that to me. But meanwhile, we might once in a while get brave enough, be like, I'm gonna call the police.
Yeah,
and people like Patricia Ann, my mama will tell you, "Oh, you gonna call the police? I'm gonna give you something to call them for."
Yeah, there was a time where school teachers were paddling us, and
right,
when your mother came to pick you up, when your mother
Mm-hmm.
came to pick us up, they would tell them, I had to paddle Amy today,
Mm-hmm.
and then you would go home and you would get a paddling. So,
or maybe not go home. Sometimes it happens right there on the spot. They make you famous. To this day, some people out here, it's like, yeah, remember that time, man? We ain't supposed to talk about that story.
Yeah. So, I mean, that has definitely changed. And of course, drugs and alcohol and that type of abuse have always been, prominent in our communities. But I will say with the crack epidemic, it just really, really got bad where, our grandmothers were raising a lot of the grandchildren. A lot of children went into the foster care home system. It just got really, really, really bad for us. So, and then you have parents who did try to go to the other end of the spectrum where they wanted to be your friend. They didn't want to discipline. They wanted to raise you like you were their buddy. They let you get away with just about anything around them as long as you did it around them. I remember parents saying that they would allow their children to drink and do certain things, have sex, as long as they like that. Never was a thing when I was coming up where as long as you wear a condom, you can go in the back room and have sex, long as you were at the house, you can have parties where you and your friends were able to drink. Like something happened where it just got all screwed up. So yeah.
Right. And like I said, that's part of why I'm having this conversation, because I want us to understand the disconnect. And then there's people out here who, as I'm telling you about broken homes and whatnot, they can't even possibly relate to anything we're saying because their home life was so vastly different than what goes on here.
But it's only a different type of brokenness. It's only a different type of brokenness. We said we came from broken homes, single family homes or whatever. Nothing has really changed other than the way we do things.
And like I said, that's why I said there is multiple definitions of broken.
Yeah.
Because what we might see is, oh, see, you lived good life. You knew where your mom, but in the same token, there's other things going on in that household that we can't relate to.
I mean, listen, my mom was a registered nurse. She gave us things, we had clothing, and I mean, she made good money even back then. I didn't see my life as one coming from a single parent home. Like I can remember children who had less than, who looked at my situation like, oh, wow, they would come and see my bedroom set, or that I was, eating McDonald's or whatever the case was.
Right.
And they thought that I had it good, and to a certain degree I did.
Right.
But it's just a different type of brokenness. Like, people's like, oh, your mom's a nurse. But my mom worked 3 to 11:30 and she was never home. And quite honestly, she didn't raise me or my brother.
Right.
How can you raise your children when you're away 3 to 11:30? Those are the hours where we're supposed to be parented.
Right.
So.
And keep in mind, I can relate to that because, you the older sibling, just like I am. And, it's a point to where my mother, she worked at the bank. She worked there for 33 years. She come home every day. We see her for about 20 minutes, and then she in her room the rest of the night.
Yeah,
bring me my food, bring me my slippers, come turn this TV off, whatnot.
Yeah.
So it came to a point where I wasn't getting raised. I was doing the raising. Make sure your brother did his homework, change your brother's diaper, that type of stuff. So I completely get what you're saying.
Yeah, or people are, I know some parents that raise their children from the bedroom. They yelling out the door. And
exactly. Yeah, but like I said, that being said, we was far from bad off. I mean, here, I was one of the only kids I knew that at 10 years old had his own room, his own TV, his own radio. I was good. Other kids be like, what you talking about? Tonight Show? I ain't never seen that. Oh, I still watch that all the time. You know, so I'm
Yeah.
sitting there telling them about what's going on tonight's show because I'm the only kid that was up late enough to watch TV and had his own TV to see these types of things. So
Mhm.
yeah, it could have been a lot worse than what it was in my household. But in the same token, I did recognize that it was other kids out here doing better than me.
Yeah, but there's a lot also that people aren't talking about, you know, because we grew up with the rule that what happens in my house stays in my house.
Exactly.
So, you know, there may have been a lot going on in the homes where we thought everything was peaches and cream. So, I mean, you just never know.
Right. Okay. Let's get some of these comments. Okay. Yeah. Princess Leia saying, "Don't worry, Camille. You're not the only Steelers fan in here. I'm here with you." Yeah, Leah, big Steelers fan. You ain't alone. Hey, Eric. Hey, friend Amy. Friend Amy contributor to the show and part of my research department. Hey, no one is paddling me. Yeah, we know, Amy. You ain't playing that. Okay, that's true, says JoJo. What up, JoJo? Most grandparents, especially grandmas, are raising their grandkids for centuries and continually doing it. Brokenness is brokenness when it comes to mentally, physically, and emotionally abused. We got Trace in the house. Hey, E-Buck, what's going on, Trace? What's good, fam? So yeah, they're like I said, I feel like that broken thing, that's why I put it in quotations. There's several different connotations of that. And keep in mind, you know, most of this audience is African American, but there are people that's not in the audience that are not African American. But because I know them individually, I know they come from broken home environments as well. So it's not just a black thing or you know, people of color thing. So that needs to be understood as well. So like I said, part of the divisiveness that comes between us as people is the fact that we don't understand because we don't know about people's upbringing. We don't know about the environments in which they grow up in. Once you gain a better understanding of that, you gain a better understanding of the people. That's why, you know, when I do this podcast, I tackle these issues because I need us to start having these discussions so we can start to have some understanding, some common ground, some healing, you know?
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's what that's about. Okay, no other comments at the moment. So here's the thing. We're gonna take one more commercial break, and then I want to get into certain other aspects of the book that's not quite involved in this. Because like I said, you have other talents and other things that went on in your life, and I kind of want to get into some of those things too. So that being said, folks, this is Get Off My Lawn Live. That is Miss Camille Muhammad. I'm your boy E Beezy, and we will be back after this short commercial break.
We're not asking for your permission. We're not seeking your approval. We're claiming what's ours in the name of our ancestors. We are their answered prayers. This is more than a movement. This is a revolution. Black innocence. What are yours today?
Hi, this is your boy Eric Buckner, and right now you're looking at my show, Get Off My Lawn Live, here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Tune in each Tuesday as we talk trending topics, what's going on in my world, and the things that I feel we all need to talk about and have discussions about as people. So again, thanks for checking out the show and tune in each week for Get Off My Lawn Live with me, your host. Hey, what's going on, everybody? We back. Get Off My Lawn Live. I'm your boy E-Buck, and we have our special guest, Miss Camille Muhammad, and we are talking about her book entitled How I Came About, and some of the other things that's going on out here in the world and in life. So that being said, I want to get into some other little aspects of the book that's not quite as prevalent as some of the stuff we talked about.
Okay.
One of the things I found real interesting in terms of your life's journey, at one point in time, my friend, you were a model. Let's talk about that
Yes.
for a minute.
Yes, I modeled for about 3.5 years. I was discovered by a talent scout. And basically, my mom kind of sort of agreed to my modeling career. And I did pretty well in it for a little while. Yeah.
Yep. So you went places. Where are some of the places you went as a model?
Chicago, Detroit. I visited New York. I mean, it was pretty much in the same region. Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a point in time in your modeling career where your mom was not privy to everything you were doing in terms of that.
No, she was not. She worked.
Why is that, Camille?
She worked 3 to 11:30, like I explained, and she was a mom who, after she would get off of work, she would go in her room and get her cheese Danish and Pepsi and her Frito Lays, and she only was off every other weekend. So, I mean, sometimes I would be offered some modeling assignments, and I just took it upon myself to make sure that I got there.
Mm-hmm. Was grown.
Yeah, I was grown. I was raising me and my son / brother.
Right.
And
Relate.
so I was left kind of like to my own devices. So
Right.
I mean, when the modeling thing came along, initially, she was supportive and everything like that. I think it was kind of like she thought it would be a hobby, not
Right.
necessarily a profession.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I guess I had a look back then in the 80s that a lot of agencies and designers were attracted to. So, and I was tall and skinny, and I did my thing for a number of years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, curious, why did you decide not to further pursue that?
Well, at that time, I was dating my children's father, and I became pregnant.
Ah,
So, yeah, had a teenage pregnancy, so
yes.
that kind of cut everything off at that
Uh,
point. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, let's see. Comment popped up. Let's see what they talking about. Okay, that is Tracy. I was wondering why I wasn't getting notifications. I had to turn them on. I'm in like fleeing now. That's right. That's what's up, Trace. So there's that. Okay, another thing about the book. What was it? Yeah. Here's the thing. Like I said, I was having trouble at first getting into a groove in terms of reading the book without having to put it down and be like, okay, let me go. But you know what actually helped for me?
Mm-hmm.
Your book reads well to a soundtrack of music. So if you
Yes.
remember, I put a comment to you at one point like, have you ever considered doing an audible version of this book? Because not only do I think it would be good as an audible book, but it would be even better as an audible book with a soundtrack. Because certain parts of your life, certain songs popped in my head. Like when
And
you talk about the early years with
yeah.
LA, for instance, the
Mhm.
song Dance With My Father pops in my head.
Cruising
And
by
well, that's part of what you
Smokey
talk about in the
Robinson.
book. But like I said, when
Yeah.
I think about you dancing with your dad to the Motown type songs and whatnot,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
song popped in my head. When you
Yeah.
first talk about some of your love affairs,
Mhm.
I hear songs like okay, Roberta Flack. That's the
Mhm.
time I feel
Mhm.
like making love to you.
Yeah, I'm glad that it had that effect because actually, a lot of the titles, if you look at them, they kind of sound like songs, or a piece of it may be taken from
Mm-hmm.
songs like Young Love. That
Right.
title, that's Tina Marie.
Uh-huh.
My sunshine has come, and different things like that. No, what was it? No more rain in this cloud.
Right.
So they're all kind of related to music. I've always been a lover of music. I wanted to tap into the urban culture. and so that it would be reminiscent of some of those songs. Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
glad you bring it up because, now that we come to the present, of course, you during the pandemic, like many of us, unlike my butt who've been unemployed for months and months, you out here working. But when you're not working, you have your hobbies. Among
yes.
them is you have joined the TikTok generation. There seems to be like certain segments that you do in terms of TikTok, in terms of you do a few like this and a few like that. Your latest segments seem to be with you and a special co-host, and you guys are doing duets, which I find
Yes.
very entertaining, I might
Yes.
add. Talk
Yes.
about how you came to get to that.
Well, of course, the pandemic kind of drove us all over to TikTok. And so I'm a newbie over there, but because it's like dancing and music and different things like that, there was so much being said on Facebook regarding, COVID-19. I'm looking at, my friends being sick, people passing away, IQ 45 and everything that's going on with the whole election. And it got to be kind of overwhelming. I was tired of CNN and NBC News and different things like that. So it was just an escape. I started to I found myself enjoying just the small clips where I didn't know these people. They were dancing, they were singing, they were doing parodies and different things like that. I didn't have to read about COVID. So I just found it enjoyable. It was just a welcome distraction from everything else that was going on.
Gotcha. Now keep in mind, I'm not signed up for TikTok, haven't seen it, to see the ones that people post on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
Would you basically advise someone like myself to try TikTok? And if so, would you have me try it as in terms of viewership or actually try to participate? Because keep in mind, I can't dance worth a damn, so that part ain't happening.
Well, I just started making, I've been a member of TikTok probably since the summer when, I started hearing about it. And people were actually sharing their TikTok videos over on Facebook and on Instagram. So I joined it out of curiosity. I kind of flipped through it. It seemed a little bit childish, and I was just kind of like, oh, okay, I'm over it. And but as the quarantine went on and on and on, like I say, and the news was just all bad everywhere else, I tried it again. There was news about TikTok in China, and Trump was going to try to ban it and all that kind of stuff. I said, well, Trump trying to ban it, there must be something going on over there. And so I went over there, and that's when they were actually suggesting that people get tickets to his Trump rally. So the TikTok viewers had actually suggested that we get tickets to his his rallies so that there would be a low attendance, and it was actually effective.
Now keep in mind, we talking about in particular, there was one rally, when he decided he wanted to start having those rah-rah rallies, as I call them again. I believe it was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Where the rally was, and his thing was, I'm gonna turn it out. It's gonna be packed. We're gonna have an overflow, so we're gonna have an overflow audience here, and it's gonna be a packed arena here. And so then when it comes time for the rally, we get there, and they set up the camera to where you thinking, this place is packed, but in actuality, most of the place is empty because the people that signed up for the rally was these TikTok people that had no intentions of going. They just wanted to throw off his flow. So there was no overflow, and there was no real rally. Which is good because, as you know, several people who went to that rally are no longer here with us. So they actually did the world a service.
So that's kind of what interested me. I was like, what is going on here? So, of course, I got my tickets to the Trump rally and did not attend, of course. And then, I just said, well, let me see what this is about. Something's going on over here. And I found myself being, I wouldn't say addicted, but just really, really enjoying it more so than I was the other social media platforms. So, and then as this thing started to drag out, I was tempted to buy myself a microphone.
There it is. You know, I was gonna ask you about that microphone.
Buy myself a microphone and start participating in some.
Yeah, because when
I haven't done any dance routines, but I've done some lip syncing
mm-hmm.
and I do my little karaoke here.
Right, because like I said, when you first whipped it out, you know, and you had it on social media, and people was like, "Girl, what you doing all that?" You know what I'm saying? But it was like, I feel that because
Yeah.
you know, if you watch the show, you know, every now and then I break out my microphone, but it
Yeah.
is an actual microphone, folks. This is an actual karaoke microphone.
Uh-huh.
It goes to my karaoke machine. You know, I use it for emphasis on the show, but I actually use it, you know, when I'm doing some entertaining type of stuff myself.
Yeah, we got to.
One of the things I miss about going out, I miss going to the karaoke bar. So
Yeah.
I stay in practice because I know a day will come when we'll be back in there.
Oh my God.
I have my songs ready, you know?
Yes. I mean, so it's just at home activity. Because of the COVID numbers starting to climb again and everything like that, I'm only at work and here in my hotel. I'm really, really trying to keep myself safe. As I said earlier, I haven't agreed to take the vaccination. So I'm literally at work and here. And usually when I'm here, of course, when I'm here alone. I do travel back and forth to Michigan from time to time, but it's still airport, home. And so, yeah, so we have to keep ourselves entertained.
Okay, let's see what's going on in the comments here. You better sing, Luther Vandross Jr., Eric. Ha ha! You clowning, JoJo. Let's see. I'm also unemployed. Yes, Miss Pat, I understand. Absolutely, so true. It is definitely overwhelming. Yep, talking about the whole pandemic and all that. My daughters love TikTok. Who is saying that there? I believe that's Miss Pat as well. It's hard to get a job with the coronavirus pandemic going on. Trust me, I know. At least not one that you want to contend with like that. I miss my old job. I want my old job back. I don't know why Trump is not arrested. Don't even get me started on clown.
Trump, I want people to understand this. Trump is not going to be arrested. I mean, if he does get arrested, it will be very surprising to me. I know it will make a lot of us happy to see him, Donald J. Trump, arrested, but we have to keep in mind, he is the president of the United States of America, and he will never be inmate XYZ. That is a huge national security threat to put him behind bars at any federal prison. It's not going to happen.
And as much as we know it should, I mean, just let's not forget about the infamous phone call that you posted, and you know other people have in regards to him basically begging for votes in Georgia.
Yeah,
Lord knows what's going to happen if he don't get his wish tonight.
The best thing that we can pray for is that he goes away.
my whole thing is, you know, bottom line is you might bring him in on charges, but it's all gonna be a dog and pony show. Ain't nothing gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean, and again, we got to think about it from a national security standpoint.
Exactly.
He has intel, very crucial and vital intel that is important to our safety.
Right. There's a reason why when after you're president, you still have Secret Service people and whatnot.
Absolutely. And we do not want him selling information to other countries, you know, to make money and different things like that. So no, we will never get to see the day where he's going to be in a jumpsuit and serving time in prison. Could you imagine the books that he would write or could possibly write as an inmate?
Scared about the books he might write despite all that.
Yeah, so
I mean, I already know it's gonna be other books that come out after he leave office. Like, okay, now that he gone, let me tell you what really went on.
Yeah, and we have to think about ourselves as a country having a former president be in prison. It's not gonna happen.
Right, you would literally have to lock him up by himself
in a room with a pad of water. Yeah,
like I said, I don't want to pay my taxpayer dollars to be bothered with that. Go on home to Mar-a-Lago and stay there. Play golf. I don't care what you do. Just leave us alone.
And hopefully he'll go away in the mindset that comes along with them will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can only hope and pray. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Oh, yeah, we already been there. I bring out my mic. Helena, I'm not even going there. I don't think you mean it the way we mean it. Felicia Trump and his Smurfians are tapping phone calls now. Lip sync is fierce, especially in TikTok. Yeah, I know you're a big fan of that JoJo, he does that re-app where you basically take a famous picture or part of a movie and put your face in it. He big on that. I love when he do that. Okay. Hey boo. Yeah, everybody saying hi to Helena. I don't know Trump is being investigated by the FBI. Who's okay? Miss Pat is saying that. Yeah. It just shows you that racism still exists. Very much so. Very much so. But yeah, that being said, folks, we're gonna shut it down here shortly. But I do want to have a couple more things to ask Miss Muhammad. If you guys have a quick question, keyword is quick, to ask her in regards to anything we talked about. Some questions. Feel free to post them in the comments. Let's see, what is JoJo saying here? Ms. Latitia James and other officials are ready for Ms. By Felicia Trump on January 20th. Fingers crossed. The saddest and embarrassing parts of this situation with him is he still gets away with the tax evasions. Yeah, then there's that part. Remember that $400 million that he owes some entity? Yeah. Maybe a Russia, perhaps. Personal opinion. Yeah. Then, of course, there's all that extra money that he's making post-election that's supposed to be for perhaps his 2024 run or whatever other money he wants to use it for. So there's that part. Over $200 million he's raised since the election to pay for his stupid court challenges and all that type of stuff. Crazy. Yeah, very much so. Okay, JoJo can't wait. Okay, Miss Amy saying, enjoying the discussion. I'm glad to hear someone say that Trump is unlikely to actually be in prison. I feel like everyone has an unrealistic point of view about how the system works. I don't, Amy. I know what it is. And yes, of course, Miss HB is telling us that after the show, there will be a remix with your boy Derek, 10:45 p.m. tonight. So pretty sure she will discuss some of the things we discussed here tonight, along with some other things that's on her mind. So please tune into that. That is the remix with Derek, 10:45 p.m. this evening. Okay, I hear left and right that Trump is going to be prosecuted. Hi, please. I personally think, one, he's president. Two, he got too much money for that to really happen, Amy, to be honest. Thank you so much for sharing. I enjoyed. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the show. Okay, here's the thing, Amy. You have written your book. You're living your life as a professional nursing type person. You still a young person. I understand you're a nana and all that. Don't look it at all. We age good, don't we? Yes, we do. But that being said, is there another possible book in your future? Yes. Are we working on it now?
Well, I'm not working on it. We talked about him earlier, but my brother Junie. There's two sides of the coin. So he has been writing his story, and he's due to be released very soon. So I will be, if it be the will of God, I'll be helping co-author his book and telling Junie's story. So there's going to be a how I came about. There's possibly going to be a how I came about second volume, and that's going to talk about his story, the darker side of it.
Now, if I read that correctly, there's been talk of making your story like a stage play or a film, perhaps?
Yes. It can go either way. I actually have a contract with Martell Taylor of Taylor One Films. Okay. He is interested in making the book into a stage play. We've talked about that. And then I was later contacted and had conversations with a couple of movie producers and directors where there was talk about making the book into actual movie and having to go to the silver screen. Yes.
Okay, gotta ask this. Basically, if you had the power to make anybody you want play you in the movie, who would it be?
Wow. Oh. That's a good one. Who would play me?
Yes.
Well, I guess that would depend because the book goes 40 years.
So there had to be young you.
There would have to be a young Amy and then an adult Camille.
Right.
Oh, I don't know. That's a good one. I would have to think about that. I know I like the acting of Miss Young Keke Palmer.
Yes.
Because she can play young and older.
Right.
So probably her. I think she would
Okay.
be a good fit
You know
because
who I
she's
think
right
might
there.
be a good fit? Are you
Hmm.
familiar with Camille Winbush? She was the
Yes.
young lady that played the oldest sister on the Bernie Mac show.
Yes. Yep. 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 I'm familiar with her too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good choice as well.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Look, we got some other choices here in the comments. Let's see what they're saying. Hey, great show tonight, and your guest is really great. I agree.
Thank you, Amy. We same name.
Yep, absolutely, JoJo. Hold on. We skipped that for some reason. There you go. Great show as always. Great job. Also, Eric and Camille. Thank you, JoJo.
Thank you, JoJo.
This is awesome, says H2. Vivica Fox, she says, to play you.
Okay.
Choice. Okay,
Okay.
so because he can say and do because he's in the White House is sad, JoJo. Yes, it is. Okay, Amy says Angela Bassett. Okay. Well, you know, who would play young Amy? I don't know if she could play young Amy, but yeah.
Well, you know, they do put Kiki and Angela together because I
Yeah.
think they were talking about Kiki potentially playing Angela Bassett.
Yeah,
So
I've
maybe
heard
that could be a younger and older version.
Okay.
Mhm.
Let's see what else. Great question, Eric. I believe Jill Scott or Queen Latifah. Interesting choices. I
Okay.
like Jill Scott as an actress, actually.
Mhm.
Absolutely, JoJo. Always a great show. Thank you so much, Miss Pat. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, as you see, the story continues, and you can go through some things in life and come out good on top.
Mhm.
Here's the perfect example right here, folks. So I highly suggest that you guys read the book. You will enjoy it. I myself did very much. Let them know where they can find the book, Amy.
The book is available. Pretty much, you could just Google it. Available, of course, on Amazon, and it's at Barnes and Noble online. You can also inbox me if you want a signed copy of it. I can ship a book copy of the book to you.
Well,
And you can,
as you know, I had the book, but I got it on Kindle, so that's how I read it.
okay.
But I definitely want me a signed copy. So yeah,
Okay.
consider that a done deal. I will send
Okay.
you the appropriate
Yep.
information and dollars if necessary, and we can make that happen.
Yep. I'm Amy Camille Muhammad, of course, on Facebook. You can also find me on Instagram under Camille X Divine. Yeah. And if you want to go on TikTok and see my TikToks, I'm Miss Lovin' It, MSLUVINIT.
All right, so there you have it, folks. Let's see, we got a few last comments on the way out here. Absolutely, JoJo, always a great show. Yep, we went there. Holly Berry to play you. Okay. All right, then. I ain't mad at that at all. Not at all. So, yes, thank you so much, Camille Muhammad, for joining the show.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed myself.
You were awesome. Your book is awesome. And what you're doing, more importantly, for us, the people, is awesome. Thank you very
so
much for your service. Like I said, I know the day will come where we'll kind of take people like you for granted, unfortunately. But while we're here, we're going to give you your flowers because you deserve them. Absolutely.
And if you don't mind, I'd just like to say some last words to everybody, especially concerning the COVID.
The floor is yours, my friend.
Please remain safe. I know a lot of people are tired of being in quarantine or on lockdown. There is no worse lockdown than death. Okay. As a nurse, I've seen people come in and they are infected with COVID, and it has made a true believer out of a lot of people, unfortunately. Continue to wash your hands, continue to wear your mask, quarantine. I know things are opening up in different places. People are tempted to gather and travel, and they've just had enough of this, but the numbers are truly going back up. I'm seeing a lot of cases where people are coming in and they're just as sick as ever before. Please treat this COVID-19 as we did back in March of 2020. It is not over. There are talks of a second strain coming out. And of course, as we know, with the flu vaccine, it doesn't fight all strains of the flu. That may be the case with this COVID-19 as well. All I can say is that hopefully this thing will be over soon. If you agree with vaccinations, by all means, you can go to the hospital, talk to your primary care doctors to ask for the vaccines. Right now, they are free to people. And I just want to say that just remain hopeful and prayerful that ourselves and our loved one remain safe. And I love you, and that's why I do what I do. God bless.
And there you have it, folks. Thank you so much for that message. Very encouraging and very informational as well. I appreciate that. I'd be remiss if I lead the show without talking about the other people in my Nighthawk network. I know you're familiar with what I'm doing with my Nighthawk network, Amy. Basically, for those of you who might be watching the show for the first time or are not quite as familiar, basically, the Nighthawk network is a group of people, individuals, podcasters who are gathered together under this one roof to educate people, entertain them, give them vital information, and have things that's said and done to cause conversations like this, so we gain a better understanding of one another and each other in this crazy mixed up world of ours. Among some of my broadcast partners, we have Hey Bitches with my host Elena. We have Monumental Moments of God's Word. Those come on Thursday evenings with my cousin Dr. Mayla Facey. We have Dish and Tea with Big Meech, Aunt Nikki, and Big Red. And keep in mind, Big Meech has a special show for you guys tomorrow, 1 p.m. Billy Porter. Yes, that Billy Porter, the one and only, will be on his radio show, Dish and Tea with Big Meech, 1 p.m. So please check that out. We got Stan Mason's Behind the Blue Curtain, where he talks about politics and policing and things of that nature. He comes on Saturday, 11 a.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. We got Let's Talk with Aunt Nikki and her interview series with people. We got my cousin's Girl Stop with Elena Miller and Letitia Williams Howard. That is an audio podcast, much like the one that I do from time to time, Get Off My Lawn. They talk about women's issues and things that people of all kinds can relate to, actually. And the newest member of the Nighthawk Network, Pastor Sean Love, with his series Pastor Sean Love Presents, a series of his talks to people about God and things of that nature. I do believe you should check it out. You can find him on YouTube, as long as some of my other people that I just mentioned. Look them up on YouTube. Like and subscribe, please. We would appreciate it. So final comments before we head on out, Miss Amy. Miss Camille. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. That's fine. No, I think I've said it all unless people have any questions to ask.
Okay, so yeah, thank you so much, Eric Camille. Thank you, Miss Pat. Absolutely, everyone, please be safe. Big Meech is in the house, y'all. The new strand of the COVID B117 has hit Atlanta. It's catching on, y'all. Be
and
careful
Atlanta was
here.
off the chain. On New
Yes,
Year's
ma'am.
Eve.
Camila, truly appreciate. And Meech says the 18-year-old had been diagnosed. And keep in mind, Meech and a couple other people I know can speak on having had the virus, so they would definitely tell you it's no joke either. Okay, and yeah, again, Meech is saying that's 1:00 p.m. on Facebook. Yes, we will be posting that interview with the one and only Billy Porter live on the Get Off My Lawn Live Nighthawk Network information page. And Mr. Taylor will be posting that on his page as well, so please check it out. So that being said, y'all, we about to head on up out of here. Thank you again, Miss Muhammad, for joining the show. I appreciate it. Come back anytime. You are a great guest.
Thank you so much.
And that being said, y'all, we about to get on up out of here. Okay, one last comment. I'll go there. Not much going on here in the streets, being on my rounds, but still keeping an eye out. Great show, Eric. Yeah, you please be safe. Be careful, Leah, dealing with them Trumponians and Proud Boys and all them other folks out there. And you be safe too out there in DC.
Oh,
might get a little crazy.
We're anticipating a ruckus.
Yes.
I don't know if you can see it behind me, but it's right there.
Okay,
and,
there it is. So yeah,
they are anticipating it. We're actually, I think, getting ready to start clearing the streets and stuff like that. I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know what's going to happen on the inauguration day, but I think it's going to be very interesting, to say the least.
Understood.
Yeah.
Worst come to worst, you bring your butt back home.
Listen, ain't nobody gonna bother me.
Okay, if not, then leave it out the area. Go chill somewhere else.
I told you, I'm here at work. I don't go that way.
I hear you. We just concerned about you. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. About to head on out. Like I said, thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it very much. Love you all. We will be back here tomorrow at 8:30 with Get Off My Lawn Live Sports Edition with my boy Hugh Lee. Looking forward to that. And also Friday, I will be doing a special episode of Get Off My Lawn After Dark edition. On that edition, that's going to be exclusively for people that's on the Nighthawk Network page. We'll be talking about relationships at work and relations at work. You know what I'm saying. That's gonna be family. That ain't for y'all. Don't you tune into that. Auntie, uncle, that ain't for y'all. That's just for the folks, okay? Certain things about your nephew you don't need to know. So that being said, we up out of here. This has been Get Off My Lawn Live. That has been Camille Muhammad. I am your boy, Eric B. Until next time, please be safe. Do your research. Remember, like my boy Stan Mason always says, life is not a Trump rally. Wear your mask. Be safe out here. Until next time, folks, here we go with that outro.